All right, we're live.
Great.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Hello, everyone.
How
Morning.
are we all doing?
I got a full house.
Yeah, we're a full house of Char Millers.
And Sam, where are you at today? I see your background's changed.
I'm in Iceland.
You're not. Oh, visiting
Wow.
family, visiting your mother-in-law, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, when did you get there?
Let's see, last weekend. And so I spent the weekend. We went to look at the volcano, the new volcano in Iceland.
Yeah, that's
And-
active, right? Because I just my friend was there and it was just pouring lava. It looked so freaking cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was really neat. When I went up, I mean, the wind was just really blowing. It was probably 60-mile-an-hour winds or more, and with rain. And so there was pretty cloudy, but then every time the volcano erupted, because it pulsates,
Mhm.
and every time it erupted, it would just hit the water, and everything would just vaporize the rain, and so it would create these big clouds of steam, and but it was pretty neat.
Oh man, nature's the best. Like it just provides such a visual spectacular. It's like I
Right.
saw my friend on her Instagram stories. I was like, I can't imagine how cool it must look in real life.
Right. Well, and I would say Sam is like the master of travel, and he's able to run his company from all over the world, right? Sam, I mentioned to my team that you go to Phoenix, you go to St. Martin, you go to France. What other places do you go, Sam?
Yeah, well, those are my favorite places. I mean, Italy and Spain, and hang out there a lot. I run, but I like the Pyrenees and the Alps. I like those areas a lot, and Spain or France and Switzerland. So in the Pyrenees is down near Spain, and so that's fun. It's a great place.
And you usually work everywhere from all those locations, in my opinion, right?
Yep. Yeah. So it's just the same as I work the same hours typically. It's just a different view.
Well, I think really you should be the guest speaker on this show today.
I think we'll have a lot of back and forth between you two because I think you're both experts at this by now.
Well, I'll just tell you this, that Sam has really inspired me to say, yeah, this can work actually.
Yeah.
So thanks, Sam.
Yeah, I've been doing this for over 10 years now, so it's good. It just gets easier over time. So
right. Yeah, and he's he's better at technology than I am, so that helps. So now it's good. Huh?
You brought your whole team.
Oh my gosh, I love these two women sitting right next to me. Melissa and Susan are like my favorite BFFs. I guess you could say BFFs work related, but I also consider them both my dear friends as well. And I'm so excited to share their story and their personal experiences, good, bad, and ugly. Girls.
Yes.
I mean,
we keep it real here on the forum. There's no sugarcoating. We keep it honest.
Well, that's one of our mottos in our company is we're 100% transparent. So everybody feels, I'm hoping they feel psychological safety. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But yeah, Susan's here. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
Susan has
Good to see you.
She has the most beautiful hair of the world.
Thank you.
And she's with Maine.
Oh, my Maine, yes.
and so tell us about your cute owls behind you, Susan.
Oh, so that was actually a picture from my fiance for Christmas. I absolutely love owls and I love elephants. So I have a couple owl photos and paintings, but I'm working on the elephants. I haven't found any that quite make me feel a certain way. So haven't purchased any of those yet, but these ones are definitely my favorite because they came from him. So
Aww.
Yeah.
And I mean, elephants I know are one of the more intelligent animals, right?
Absolutely.
Are
Yes.
owls also an intelligent bird?
They are. Yes.
Right.
Very intelligent. Yes.
No
And they're
wonder
just so
you picked
cute.
those. Yeah, and I'm
I
the
like
one
cute
that
things.
picks like my favorite bird is like the flamingo and the hummingbird with the smallest brains in the world.
And the peacock, right? And you like peacocks.
Peacocks and hummingbirds.
Yeah. And hummingbirds.
Have you been?
And-
They're
and-
beautiful too.
Well, just because they're pretty.
They are pretty.
And then Melissa, hey, take your sound off. Melissa, I mean, look at her background. Melissa, tell us what inspired you to have this beautiful, nice, classic background.
Well, I live in a really old house. So yeah, figured I better go. I called it transitional traditional. I don't know. Yeah, something more light and airy. And I was able to do all the painting. I had someone do the fireplace and put the mantle up, and my brother did the picture up there. He's an artist. But so hopefully this within the next year, I can start doing another room like the kitchen needs done.
Nice.
But yeah, this is one of my favorite rooms in the house, and I have a big dining room table I'm sitting at. So
yeah. So as you can see, Jules and Sam, we do spend a lot of time talking about decorating.
All
We
right.
do.
It doesn't have to always be work, right?
And
Right.
and fingernails. So we really care about our fingernails as well.
Oh yeah, fingernails.
Pretty nails.
I get so turned off if I see dirty fingernails. I'm like, I instantly don't trust you if I see dirt under the nails. That's got to be taken care of.
Well,
Absolutely.
how about the fingernails with that need to be rebased big time?
That's
maybe
okay. That's better than dirty.
Is that better?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
All
Well,
right, we
Okay, I guess we'll get
Well,
going.
I think Sam's ready. He's like, all this girl talk. We got to.
We gave him travel talk at the beginning.
Right.
That's right.
All right. Well, we're getting the good energy. We're getting the good vibes out there. And welcome, everyone. Good morning. This is the People Strategies Forum. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I can already tell, like, the vibe is right. We have a full house. Ladies, Char has brought her, some of her team members. And if you are joining us for the very first time, just to give you a little rundown about what this is, what happens here each and every week, this is a mastermind full of leaders, and we're dedicated to creating workplaces where people are going to thrive, where employers reward and customers love. So as you can see, we have a very full panel of hosts. Each and every week, though, you will always see Sam, who is the founder and CEO of Comp Team. And Sam transforms companies through talent management, talent initiatives, and compensation programs. And he is always bringing us the webinar. Today, he's in Iceland, bringing it to us all the way from Iceland. So he's very committed. He shows up each and every week, doesn't matter where in the world he is. And that's actually really important to today's topic, because we're going to be talking about managing from anywhere, because you don't have to just go to an office, sit there for 8 hours every day anymore. It is so possible to work remotely, work from any part of the world, not just from an office or home, but really anywhere. And then I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, who you see here each and every week. But today she's transforming into our guest speaker. And actually, Char, I think you've spoken on the panel many times before, but welcome back. And if you don't know who Char is, she is an HR expert. She's a talent management consultant. She is the owner and founder of Rocky Mountain Health Advocates. And she's brought her team along today too. So you'll see we have Susan, a director, mentor, coach, master of all. I love that title. And then we also have Melissa Taylor with us as well. She is an executive assistant handling about 18 people, I think you said before we jumped on the call. So definitely busy. I can see that you have a very busy schedule each and every day. She's also a health advocate. I love that Char threw this in. Wind under wings. We all need a little bit of that, and a dot connector. So I'm going to pass it over to Sam and the ladies. And I'm very excited to hear this discussion on how we can make work happen from anywhere. I also just want to put it out there too, Char. You mentioned that during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, when there were lockdowns, your company actually thrived. You were able to give raises to your employees and promote them and shuffle them around to positions that better aligned with their talents and skills. So I just want to share that it is so possible that even when there's doom and gloom, there is definitely a lot of hope and a lot of opportunity. So I'm going to pass it over to you, everyone, and welcome to the forum.
Thank you, Jules. Hey, everyone. How you doing? So
Doing
I'm
good.
excited. I'm so excited. Say hi, Melissa. Say hi, Susan.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So the Melissa and Susan are like I have to tell you, if I have any team that is surrounding me with, I mean, all the love and support and through blood, sweat. Okay, not blood, sweat, tears. Valiant, no, not Valiant. I would say it's these two. It's these two have been really my rock, my absolute rock. I actually have another absolutely amazing team that I'd like to talk about. But before I kind of get into conversation with Melissa and Susan, I just want to talk just a real high level brief story about where Rocky Mountain came from. Rocky Mountain Health Advocates came up from, and I won't bore you. But Bruce Franklin and myself, Char Miller, met, and yeah, I won't tell you the dating story, but it's nothing you'd talk to your grandma about. But anyway, when we met within like an hour and a half, for some reason he had the synergy, the excitement, the yin, as I call it, and then I had the yang. And I mean, I'm such a people reader. I was like, this dude is somebody, because I always knew that I needed to have a business partner. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, even though I was a successful HR person, talent management person, had huge six-figure jobs, big healthcare systems. I got laid off. Actually, I'll be candid, I was kind of disgruntled with the that's kind of a double negative, disgruntled with the healthcare system. So I always knew that I wanted to start some form of a health advocacy to give back to the community. Well, shortly within just literally an hour, I drafted out this like, okay, Char's gonna go back and get a six-figure job. Char's gonna sponsor Bruce, what do you guys think sponsor means? Bruce to go out and help me build this business. And then we would buy a house, and it was completely like a joke. I mean, like we had just met, What's funny is that, yeah, we got serious, we got involved. And then it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that this magically happened. It was really interesting because we both had the mindset and the focus, and this was like 2014. By January 2015, I was standing on top of a mountain in Rocky Mountain National Park, and I was literally offered a six-figure job with Rocky. I would say it's what are they called these days? Kaiser Permanente. Anyway. And I had my job, and it was a talent management strategist position, which was great. And at that point, I knew, oh my gosh, we're gonna build something. If you fast forward, by 2017, we established our business. But from the very beginning, Bruce had always said to me, I would like us to live somewhere, quote, tropical, somewhere warm. I'm getting old. I'm an old, 50-year-old. And I want to live somewhere warm and this and that. And I want to be able to run our business somewhere, warm, and still also live in Colorado, the most beautiful state in the world, during the summertime. And at the time I was like, yeah, we'll see. So let's fast forward before, let's see, Susan, when was your first day with us?
It was May 2nd, 2019.
May 2nd, 2019.
Yep.
And Melissa, when was your first day with us?
June 11th, 2020.
Yeah. Woohoo. So you guys have just celebrated some anniversaries.
Yep.
So I am here to tell you guys, I am a business owner. I am an HR executive. I'm a talent management strategist, blah, 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 blah. But what the real thing is, and I could sit here and show you pictures of beautiful Puerto Vallarta, beautiful Belize, beautiful, crystal blue waters, all blah, blah, gorgeous sunsets. I'm not here to showcase the beautiful sights and sceneries and everything that I experienced. But Bruce and I were able to achieve to do the snowbird thing because of people like Susan and Melissa. And so today I want to talk about the story. I want to talk about the good, bad, and ugly, because last we left, let's see, to Susan's horror, November 2nd. And we had invited Susan over for dinner, which was another fiasco with a burning grill, and her husband had to put it out with a fire extinguisher. It was that summer. What summer was that, Susan? That was last summer.
Yeah. Yes, that was last summer. Yep, late last summer.
Right.
Yep.
And so we thought we're going to have a nice, beautiful, $70 steak, whatever, and we're going to enjoy this. And then we're going to break the news to Susan that even though we've been talking about this, we're going to really do this. And Susan, what was your reaction?
At first, I was a little apprehensive and a little bit nervous, just because I knew that you guys were going to be physically further away, but still reachable by phone and email and Zoom if need be. So at first I was a little nervous because you guys are kind of the wind beneath my wings, and you kind of give me the love and support that I need. And just naturally, I think my mind automatically jumped to, uh-oh, I'm being abandoned. But you guys were so great and reassured me, we're not going to be that far. Physically we are, but we're still going to be here for you. We're still here to support you. And thankfully that was absolutely the case. You guys did not let me down in that area for sure.
So can you spend a few minutes just describing what your role is and your responsibilities and the number of people you manage, and just, your little star thing. I always do a little star diagram around you. What is that?
Okay. All those things. I've actually taken on responsibilities for my job actually consists of really just managing the people, the leaders of our locations. We do have currently 5 separate locations at which we generally have anywhere from 2 to 4 employees at each one. So I just kind of manage them and am there to kind of be their support system and their ear to talk to. So in addition to, I've also taken on responsibilities to set up kiosks, get the signage done. Started out with our HR department through Paychecks and have been working with them. And thankfully, I've been able to since delegate that to Melissa. So that's been a fantastic help to me, as I had a lot on my plate during these store openings. So it was a lot kind of going on, and thankfully Melissa was there to kind of help me pick up the slack. So pretty much anything from dealing with mall managers, talking to you guys on a very regular basis. Sorry, you guys, you and Bruce, reporting kind of what's been going on, being overall the eyes and the ears, also making sure that our company is being compliant and where everybody is projecting the same goals and everybody is on the same page. So just kind of keeping everything, kind of being the glue that keeps everything together, so that we don't have anybody who's kind of feeling like they're left out on an island all by themselves. So I just kind of make sure everybody feels wrangled in and feels heard and listened to and understood.
Awesome. And then can I switch to Melissa? Melissa, when did you start with us again?
It's almost a year tomorrow, or what is today? June 11th is my anniversary on Portal. So yeah, a year.
A year, 2020. Right. Okay. And so you came on kind of like kind of mid the COVID time, right?
Right when they were letting us open up a little bit after COVID. Yes.
Right. So you actually came on right after let me think about this, right after we had a shutdown or before?
Yeah, you guys were shut down for a while.
Yeah, because we had to get PPP loans and you came on like really, you were our initial hire right after the PPP, after the shutdown, right?
Right.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what your work is?
So I transitioned into picking up the small pieces that is just too time consuming for Susan. Now that we have, over average about 18 employees, I do all the onboarding. I make sure the workman's comp insurance is in place. All the little things that Susan doesn't have time to do, she can concentrate on being that people person leader that she is. So I'm kind of try to stay in the background, but I text her a lot. Remember this, remember to do this, remember this, which I like. I really like.
And that is so helpful.
It is
so helpful. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Susan, do you remember this? Oh yeah. But
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, after 20 years of just constantly having to be on in sales and traveling, it's just so nice to take a step back and be a support system for you guys, because I'm finding I'm really enjoying it. I'm somewhat detail oriented and very time sensitive on things, and I can help all the employees with benefits. I help a little bit with recruiting right now, just screening the initial people because Susan doesn't have time to do all that. Anything I can do to help the mall managers, I still fill in as a health advocate some when we get a little bit crazy and things need switched around. And I go out to the sites and meet the new people and take it all in and help out however I can. Some days I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So that's too.
So if I may, Sam usually asks the question, Sam, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to kind of dive in here. I would like to get to Susan and Melissa. I really want to know, you don't need to be all PC and make Char feel all good. I really want to know. Okay, Susan, tell me about when the COVID hit, right?
Yes.
And you remember you and I were on the phone. Can you describe your conversations with me and how you were feeling and what was going through your brain at the time we really realized, because we work in malls, we work face to face with our clients. So tell me what you were really thinking about our survival and our sustainability as a company during that period.
To be 100% honest, I really questioned the sustainability and the longevity just because we rely so heavily on the mall locations and they were shutting down. It was a very scary time. I have 2 children, a family to take care of. And knowing that, not only just the malls, but everything was being shut down was so scary and so intimidating because, you just kind of think, well, where's my next paycheck going to come from? How am I going to feed my family? And it wasn't long, honestly, that, a few conversations in that you had really honestly stepped up and just said, you know what, we're going to get through this. And I don't know how, but we're going to do it. And I just your confidence and your sincerity to me just really made me feel this is all going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And I have to be strong for my employees. And I remember we cried together and we had to just kind of let our emotions out and just kind of begin that healing almost. And so, it was great for you. And I appreciate you so much because you really gave me that confidence that I don't know how we're going to make it through this, but we're going to make it through this. And, I was able to convey that to employees. Some really felt that passion and some didn't. And the ones that didn't ended up leaving. And the ones that did are still with us and very, very glad and have been rewarded for sticking with us. So overall, it was very, very scary in the beginning. However, I think that we were able to kind of just band together and figure out, plan A, B, and C so that we could stay afloat and everybody could kind of rest a little easier at night.
So what had happened after we reopened, I can't remember, when did we reopen technically?
It was the middle of June.
Yeah.
Okay, so middle of June. So anyway, here we are. Now Bruce is one of these people that's like drive. He's telling me that we are now going to move to Puerto Vallarta. We're going to live there for 6 months. I am like, okay. But at the same time, Susan and I had developed such a trusting, loving relationship. I shouldn't say loving as part of being employee oriented, but we really I had such respect and honor for this woman because we knew that transparency and communication and treating people with compassion, dignity, and respect always. We were already working in a remote fashion, correct, Susan? Because
correct.
I mean, we literally live probably a good, not quite an hour away from each other. But we had already, I'm way out here in the, BF, by the airport, and you're way over by the beautiful foothills. we were already working in this fashion. We were already doing, Zoom calls every week, in staff Zoom calls. We were already doing the in-person management meetings. We were already doing the one-on-ones. And Susan, you were doing all of the one-to-one coaching, right?
Yes, correct.
And you were doing that all along. In fact, we were already into the TMA method, which is one of our sponsors that we're going to talk about. And I can't remember the exact time frame, but all of our current leaders, including both Susan and Melissa, had gone through the TMA method. And we had adopted the TMA method into our recruitment process and our coaching and developing process. And that was also a very helpful communication tool. So Susan, describe to me, like, literally when you knew that I was on an airplane and I was going to be, I don't know how many thousands of miles away. What were your thoughts about that? Because what I kept telling you is that everything's going to remain the same. And you were thinking, what?
I was thinking, we'll see. We'll see how much the same they remain. I don't know. We'll have to try this out and see, because it was just kind of an experimental, in the beginning. And yeah, that was kind of my initial thought is, okay, well, we'll have to kind of wait and find out, and we'll see. But I trust you, and I trust Bruce, and I think that's a huge part of being able to remotely work and to have, the leaders kind of working remotely, is just that trust that you have between the employee and the employer is huge. And so I trusted you, and I thought, okay, well, we'll figure this out. And,
So-
nothing changed. So it was flawless.
So didn't we have one particular very high level employee say, what's going on here? We've got our owners of our company taking an extended vacation.
Right. Yeah. We had
And-
one employee that was not happy about the departure. And, even though through constant coaching and mentoring and talking, having several one-on-ones with her, she just didn't seem to believe, that things were still going to be functioning the same. She actually got really nervous because she thought that the company, that you guys were almost going to just disappear. She thought you guys were going to hop on the plane and we're never going to hear from you again. Which I told her repeatedly, that's not the case. But I think she just didn't have that trust that I was talking about. That's so important to have between the employer and the employee. She just didn't trust the process, and she didn't trust us enough to have that faith.
So one thing with Susan's TMA method is that I learned through hers is that she's extremely detail oriented. She loves structure. She likes organization. And now you're looking at me. I'm Miss Colorful Peacock. She's Miss Owl, Miss Elephant. I'm Miss, Hummingbird Peacock. I'm the hummingbird floating all over the place with my beautiful feathers. And she's like wanting to focus on detail. What Susan and I really worked on was to keep things consistent, right, Susan?
Absolutely.
So everything from our weekly Zoom meetings, our one-on-ones with staff, and that we'd always have an in-person staff meeting every month that would have at least one of us there. So Bruce and I would rotate back and forth, right?
Right.
So that at least one of us was physically there and the other one was on Zoom.
Right.
And also we have a location in Montana. So they always are remote with us too.
Yeah.
But Susan, can you describe some of the other promotions that we did that were kind of more remote jobs? Like, why don't you describe what you think happened with Joseph? What do we do with Joseph's job?
Yeah, so we actually hired Joseph on to be an advocate for our Aurora location. And he has been proven to be a phenomenal employee, and we have since transitioned him to a leader. After getting to know Joseph and his experience, his life experience and his work experience, we quickly discovered that he could be very valuable to us in the compliancy aspect of our job, and to keep him more engaged, because he has so much more to offer than just being an advocate. We thought we would add in him as a compliancy manager, because he really cares. He's very detail oriented as well. He very much cares about doing things the right way and making sure that everybody is lawful and following company policy, which is very, very important to him. So we saw that in him and decided to transition him over to He still is an advocate. However, he does our compliancy as well, which I think is a perfect fit for him. And it also makes him feel more valuable because he has such extensive knowledge and such extensive background in healthcare that it really makes him feel good to be able to contribute more to the company and to be of more of a support than just in the advocate field.
In addition, Joseph, if you hadn't said this, is also in a wheelchair. So I don't exactly know how much mobility he has, but he has limited mobility in his hands, and he's very open because he's an advocate for disability and how to accommodate employees with disabilities. So he actually got promoted. I can't remember the exact time frame, but then he could also work remotely. So because his lifestyle requires being able to do all his exercises and home therapies and gym therapies. And so he was afforded the opportunity to have flexible work hours and be able to do remote jobs, which is a really perfect fit for him, and be able to utilize his expertise. And particularly while we were out of the country, meaning Bruce and I, the owners, we could rely on the fact that our compliancy program, our American Disabilities Act, and making sure that our work places were compliant from an ADA standpoint. And not only that, he's one of our top producers as an advocate. He has a very great way of communicating with our clients. So would you not agree that that was a real win-win? And what do you think his morale levels like now, Susan?
Absolutely. His morale is just through the roof. He absolutely loves the company. I just spoke with him, just a few hours ago, and he knows that we're having we have some hiccups and some bumps in the road, but he's just so wonderful. Reached out to me and said, if there's anything I can do to help out, if you need me for anything additional, just let me know. So he has really been a blessing to the company, and he very much feels rewarded and valued, and he's a very important part of our team, and he knows that, and it makes him feel, I can just tell he beams from the inside. He's just beaming. He's so happy, and he feels so fulfilled with his role. And it has been, he calls this the unicorn job, because it's really been, he says it's perfect. He says, I get paid, and I love this company. I love what we do, and it's flexible enough to where, because he does have quite a few physical therapy appointments and doctor appointments and things because of his disability. And so we are able to be very flexible with him and allow him that time to really take care of himself. And he values that as well, because we are very supportive of him taking care of himself. And we're actually very supportive of everybody taking care of themselves. But him especially, because he does have the disability. So he requires a little bit more as far as the doctor's appointments and physical therapy and things like that.
Yeah, but from the OSHA standpoint and making sure we make physical accommodation one of our priorities, he's just been invaluable. We just adore him. So now I'd like to switch gears now. I'd like to talk with Melissa. Melissa, I'd like you to talk not only that you are, Miss Master of being the dot connector and wind beneath everyone's wings in your executive assistant role. Let's talk a little bit about your transformation, because you were one of our original ones that took the TMA method with us, correct?
Correct.
And can you just briefly describe, you were a health advocate. Tell us what you thought when we gave you that TMA method. About what time did we do that?
I think it was last July.
Okay.
I believe. And it was really interesting. It really hit home on a lot of points. I'd never really had the company I worked for before was very small. They didn't even do reviews. It was kind of very negative environment. And one thing I want to say about this company now is, you guys, even if we have a bump in the road or something, you never dwell on it. It's like, okay, that happened. We're moving on. And here's how we're moving on. And here's who's moving on. And here's your role in doing it. And it's just such a positive environment. And that's what I really like about the company, because it's like, I know what my role is.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm total just support for you guys in many different factors right now. But the TMA method really, it was funny. It hit home, except for one thing I didn't really agree upon. But then I had a review and we were deciding, should I try to be a manager at one of the locations or not? And then we decided probably a little too overbearing in that role, and that probably wouldn't be a good fit. And I totally have to agree with that now that I'm doing the support role. I enjoy it a lot more. I don't want to do the same thing every day. I come to find out I was in such a routine at my other job, and I was so stuck, if you will, internally, I guess. And this has just really let me do many different things. And I'm always trying to be forward thinking, because that's the environment you guys have created.
Right. And wasn't it interesting? I think our aha, because you were actually being very transparent, as we always are. We were
Yes.
we were looking forward to having you promoted as a manager job, a manager, a health advocate manager job, which meant that you would have been over a couple of employees at one of our mall locations in Colorado, mainly the Denver metro area. And was it not that after we got to talking, we were talking about your TMA method, you had actually, I mean, thank you, Andre. If you're on, thank you. I mean, you actually spent the time to do some coaching and did an assessment review with Melissa, and you also talked to me. And it was Andre that said to me, you know, I'm not sure Melissa's going to get a lot of joy and passion out of being a manager, an operations manager. You know, there may be a different type of role that really she's going to thrive in. And it was really at that point then you and I, Melissa and Susan, really got to talking about, because Susan, on the other hand, the problem with the director role, HR leaders, people leaders, executives, the problem with the HR director role is that everything is all buried on that HR director. You know, you got to fix culture, you got to fix the compliance problem, you got to fix compensation, you got to do all the hiring, firing, you got to do all the recruiting. It's a really, really tough position for the director. And Susan, nod your head. I mean, it's like everybody's piled on you, right, Susan?
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Yes.
so I was strategically, from a talent management perspective, like maybe Melissa would be a great person to support Susan, right? So how did you feel about that, Melissa, when we started going down the route of what are your thoughts about being an executive assistant for our company?
Yeah, I was really excited. I'd never done anything like that. So the fact that you guys gave me a chance to grow into this position and learn and make a few mistakes, and not even, it wasn't even like, oh, you made a mistake. It's like, okay, so let's try this. This is what you're going to do now. This is your directive. If you need support, you're going to go to this person. Like, I call Joseph a lot, actually. He's been so valuable. If I need to get in touch with Bruce, I know I to text him. If I need to get in touch with this person, I know the way to communicate now. So it really doesn't matter if you guys are in Puerto Vallarta or wherever, because Susan and I, it's so funny. Like, I wish we could try to meet up once a week, but sometimes that just can't happen. And so we just text each other, and sometimes it's a phone call later after hours, and because we just got to get our, mesh our stuff together so I can be more supportive for her. But there's so many little things to do when you run a company. I didn't realize it all. So it's just been a really good transition for me personally. It lets me work part-time hours right now, which I need to do, because again, we all have kids, and we're dealing with the pandemic and transitioning them out of some things. And it's just been a very good learning job. But I feel like everyone appreciates me, because when I really am able to help the employees with some things, I feel very valued.
And they value you, and we value you. And I'm going to say one quick story, and I'd love for Sam to interject with a couple of questions, because usually he does the questions. But before I do that, I just want to say one of the major ahas. So Bruce and I were down in Puerto Vallarta. We were sitting under a palapa, and he had his little laptop, and and he was sitting on the phone with the stupid hold music. It was from one of our major internet carriers. I'll say it that way. One of the most major internet carriers out there. And Bruce is on the phone, and it was like, and Bruce is like frustrated as heck. And I finally looked at him and said, hello, did you know that you're the CEO and founder of this company? He's like, yeah. I said, did you know that we have an executive assistant that could probably sit on hold for you for the next 2 hours and multitask and still do other things and then conference you in? Tell us about that, Melissa, when that happened that day.
Well, that was so funny, because I was actually right out doing an errand near the provider you needed to talk to. So I just pulled in and went into the actual store, got Bruce on the phone, had him talk to one of the guys there, and had what you guys needed in like 5 minutes. So it's like, I'm not waiting on hold. I'm going to the place to get it done.
So we're sitting way down there, and you're up here like, boom, drove right in, took care of it, man. So, hey, Sam, did you have a couple of questions for us?
I do, so I remember, when you first went remote and started managing remote, and I think that maybe this was the individual that you were talking about. A member of your management team wasn't quite on board with that and had some issues with that. And I remember you dealing with that. So basically, upon your leadership team, it seemed like one of your individuals was not quite convinced that this was the right approach. So how did you, create or build that trust with that individual and get them in line?
Well, that is a fantastic question. And believe me, I put a lot of thought into this. So my background is also in organizational effectiveness and organizational design. So I used to do that for big companies and organizations. Even though we're a small startup, a little baby company, sometimes you have to take this big company concept from a talent management perspective and be able to drill that down into even a small little company. So yeah, you will not get 100% executive buy-in at all the executive levels. But one of the things that I really needed to think about, and again, back to the TMA, because a couple of those individuals also got the TMA. Both Bruce and our other business owner, Adam, I'll just say his name, they really are the operations guys. They're the finance guys. They're the hard, cold negotiation people, right? And so essentially in my mind, which I never really fully executed until just this year, I started developing a very thorough talent management strategy. And so it really got down to this. It's like, Adam and Bruce, do what you guys are good at. That's, negotiating with the laboratories, the telemedicine, the doctors, the business contracts, do what you're good at, and make sure that when we do these employee meetings that you can give all the updates that you can, because we're very transparent with our employees. And then I said, on the meanwhile, so if you think of like a 4 grid, we have operations on the top, finance, and then we have customer here, or client as we call them, and then we have people. And so last year, both Melissa and Susan knew I saw them as my champion for people support underneath me mainly. So although Melissa was supporting with things on the operation side, like the technology challenges and the phone challenges, I knew that Susan had to talk with Adam on the mall negotiations and some of those types of things. But how I decided to do it, because, psychologically, you can't necessarily convince some of the top leaders 100% with the philosophy around talent management strategy and communication strategy. And, we can talk until the cows come home. But in my philosophy, it's better to demonstrate that we can be a successful, thriving company with our strategies. And if they want to participate in that, great. But we're just going to put this under the people strategy column. Okay. And that way, Bruce and Adam knew, well, that's Char's world. And really, that is what helped resolve it. So I had to communicate, right, Susan, Melissa, I had to communicate to the two of you my new strategical approach about how we were going to communicate to the other executive leaders, correct? And it wasn't to keep them in the dark. It was just to say, the people world is our world, is Char, Miller, and Susan and Melissa as a support world.
Right.
And I would say it's ultimately proved to be very successful, because I think as they've been able to focus on some of the big rocks in the organization actually that really needed to occur, they weren't constantly bombarded with all of our ideas like talent management assessment, TMA assessments, TMA development and coaching, the way we're doing recruiting, the way we're doing the developing and onboarding and succession management, unless they absolutely needed to be involved. So that's basically how we resolve that challenge.
Yeah, but to be clear, I mean, this decision to work to manage remotely was not just a lifestyle change. It was also a way to make your company more resilient into some of these changes and so forth. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, even before I hired Susan and team, which on the next slide you'll get to see a few of our team members, I realized that my business partner at this time, I chose this particular partner for the fact that he wanted to be an entrepreneur and build a business with me. We weren't going to start a family or anything like that. But anyway, that's why I chose to do that. But I also knew that it's not about me. I mean, although I could be in Susan's role and I could be the HR manager, I knew it's going to be all about the talent. And I knew that I had to design a talent framework that could help Susan as a director. And also I forgot to mention a gentleman by the name of Sam Cook, not Sam Reed, Sam Cook. He's the head of our administrative side, which is the paperwork side. I knew that we needed a fab work of a manager of compliancy, manager of administration. We needed the head of our operations, the head of mall negotiations, and build this entire fabric so that Susan, as kind of our pivotal center point, could have an entire network of people and expertise and subject matter experts that she could direct to, so that she wouldn't always have to rely on the owners that are sitting in another country for all her resources. In addition, that's why we hired a professional paychecks company with an actual HR manager. I could do HR management 24/7, but I didn't want to. Okay, been there, done that. Unless it's a really big issue. So
Right.
go ahead.
So Char, so you use the TMA method to identify managers in across your company that didn't need the constant oversight, that were able to do, they're very autonomous, and so does that help with your mission of having a more resilient and agile company where managers can work remotely?
Well, I would tell you, definitely Melissa's an example, but Ben is another manager that we utilize the TMA method with, and also assessing. Ben, Susan, could you maybe describe a little bit of Ben's personality type and why he's a good manager, and your thoughts about when he took the TMA?
Yeah, absolutely. So he is very compassionate, caring, kind of just the big teddy bear type, but he's also such a great leader because he's compassionate, but he's also firm and he's fair. And so he's been a really great leader, but he's been somebody that I don't think we've had one complaint about anybody working with him. Everybody enjoys working with him. And the TMA method actually really helped us to see that he thrives in a leadership role, and he thrives to be someone that people can count on and come to and rely on, and that's what kind of fills his cup, if you will. So he, really feels rewarded and is happy doing his job, because the TMA method really helped us to see what his strengths are, and his strengths are definitely leadership and just kind of being there for people, and guiding them, and coaching, mentoring. And as we saw at the staff meeting yesterday, he's trained about over half of our staff. So, he's very, he loves to be able to help and to train and to mentor.
And develop people. The one thing I'll tell you about this, I would say in a traditional work environment or a traditional company, just because of the location alone, just because of the specific location and the demographic, the quote numbers, or the quote the meat of what we get paid for, his location struggled. But because he's such a fine leader in everything we identified in the TMA, as well as working with him and the way he coaches and mentors and supports and takes care of our people, he's still a manager. And we are going to be through career mobility, as we use with TMA. He's going to stay a manager. He is going to stay. So we're going to be moving that to pretend other opportunities, because we change every day, and which will most likely be a manager of operations.
Yeah,
but I will go ahead.
Oh no, I just want to make this clear for our listeners, though, because in your business, in your locations, people are required to show up. I mean, they have to show up on location to be able to serve the public and come in. And then on the other part, when you're manager and managers in other parts of your organization, there's opportunities to work remote and manage remotely. And so I think that the key piece that you brought up earlier that I just want to make sure our listeners don't oversee is the fact that you had a conversation with your leadership team about the desire to have a more agile and work remotely and manage remotely as a company. And part of this is that you had parts of your company that had a mindset that they had to show up on to work no matter what, and then others that have the flexibility to work remotely. And so, was there any kind of complications of delivering this message across the organization that you had to, be concerned about, or that happened rather smoothly?
Well, I think Susan and I both will answer this, but I mean, the reality is we do have positions, particularly the advocate positions. Right now, we don't offer mobile in some of our offers, our options for health advocacy. So some jobs simply are face-to-face. We can't get around it. But if at any time a position can work remotely, like we talked about Joseph's compliance role, Susan, why don't you describe your transition of working at the office, and now you mainly work remotely. How is that transition for you?
So the transition has been pretty smooth. I still do go out to visit locations. So I do still kind of stay in contact with everybody. But for the most part, yes, I do work remotely. Everybody, all of our employees are very comfortable with the fact that they can reach out to me. I have my phone with me all the time. So I'm easy to access. And really, they are the leaders that we have in place right now are so phenomenal that they don't really need me to micromanage. They just kind of need me as, hey, I need somebody to help me with this or help me with that. So I can be that lifeline for them, but I don't have to be at location all the time.
In fact, Sam, can we forward to the next slide?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if I was sharing my screen. So here, let me.
Oh yeah, if you could do that. I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about those locations and.
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah, the back one.
Sorry.
No worries. So what we want to do is that this, I could share so many pictures of our wonderful, beautiful staff. But so for example, to the left there, Susan, why don't you talk about this slide real quick and just briefly say who these people are?
Yeah, absolutely. So to the left there is Joseph and Sophia, the upper left corner. Joseph is the one we've been talking about, the gentleman in the wheelchair, and Sophia is the manager at that location. That's our Aurora location. The next one is our Park Meadows location that has been doing phenomenally well. And the leader of that location is actually the gal just to the right. Her name is Ashley. And the photo right below that also is Ashley as well, without her mask. She's beautiful. And then we have, she's gorgeous and she's so sweet. And then the next line down is Zed Paget, and he is the manager of our Colorado Mills location, which is the photo there in the middle. And yeah, so that's kind of a few of our locations that we have, but they all of the locations are carts like that, kiosks, and they do all relatively look the same.
We do have storefronts as well, and we actually have our head of administration. We have a kind of an office area for him in the back, and then we have beautiful store locations where we do staff meetings. We're just kind of in transition. Why do we need all that square footage, right? Right, Susan?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
although, I mean, I wish we had a picture of the most glorious Park Meadows location, but we don't need all that space. But really, I mean, I actually could have sent you, all of our 18 staff members. All of them are just, I mean, just fabulous. And the reason why I think the beautiful little picture of Ashley down below, she's the one that I frequently talk about that is going to school to get her PhD to be an epidemiologist. Right, Susan? Epidemiologist?
Yes.
And she absolutely loves working with us so much. And what gives her the confidence and the ability is to be a coach, a mentor, because she understands medical terminology. She understands healthcare because she's in school for that. And so she has decided that she wants this to be a full-time career for her. And thank you, Sam, because you're the one that actually did our compensation analysis and architecture. And even during the time of this year, majority of all of our employees got raises. And so, and also we were able to realign to more of a flat pay type of structure, as well as salary and hourly. So thank you, Sam, for doing that. And then, yeah, want to say anything about your architecture work with us?
No. I just have a question. I mean, I know that you mentioned about mentoring and coaching and so forth, and when you were working remotely in Puerto Vallarta, did that change? Your approach change as far as how you're mentoring your staff, and because I know you do a lot of mentoring yourself.
Well, no, I mean, everything has, I don't want to be. I know I'm Char and I'm the head of the company and I'm the founder, but I really wanted Susan and Melissa and the leaders of my company, like the people you see here, to really be seen as the real leader to go to. I call myself, I'm behind the curtain. I'm kind of the Wizard of Oz, I guess you could call me. So I say that jokingly, but I like to be on display. I like to talk. I like to be a little showcaser if you haven't gotten that idea. But honestly, I didn't think that would be anything inspiring to my employees. I want them to know me and trust me and like me. But I really knew that Susan and, Ashley and Joseph and Sophia and Ben and Zed, it would really be, and Melissa, I want them to be the individuals and employees see, trust, and appreciate. So a lot of my mentoring and coaching is going on behind the scenes with the managers. And I coach and mentor them, right, Susan? Can you describe my coaching I give you?
Yeah, so we talk frequently, and the coaching that you receive, that you give me, actually is perfect, because I'm able to coach and mentor the employees, and it's mirrored. So I do try to kind of mimic what you teach me, so that I can kind of trickle that down and teach them, kind of as a succession, kind of so that they can become stronger and better leaders as well.
But we are, for example, this month I'm going to personally have my one-on-ones. We still have how many? Actually, Melissa, you are our TMA administrator, right? And so Melissa, you have sent out the TMA to the remainder. We had a little bit of a thing to get around just to get the technology. And I know you're on mute. But did you want to mention your work right now? You're getting the TMA method out, and then you're going to help me set up those one-on-one coaching meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. So I sent those out after the gentleman helped me last week, and I'm not going to pronounce his first name properly. So he was really instrumental. We got everything working.
Abdullah.
Really super nice. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but we got everything figured out and sent those out to, I think it was 4 more leaders that needed to take it. And I know this week's been kind of crazy with a few things, so I will just give them a time frame of when we want those back, and you will be able to view those. I can show you that as well. And then we'll just set up the one-on-ones whenever you want me to get that started. I'm ready to rock and roll with that. I know Sophia's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. So since I'm the one that's certified, a certified coach with the TMA, thank you, Andre, and the TMA team, and you, Sam, and team, for sponsoring me. Now that I'm certified, I am going to finish up our coaching for all those leaders, which is only going to increase our talent management strategy. Also, our leaders are going through a TMA learning portal to understand talent management strategy. And I think in the future here, we're going to have a management portal for our employees. And I'm excited to work with you, Sam and Andre, on the management portal, because we really want to be the beta company and demonstrate. I can't give you guys financials, but I'm telling you that our company is thriving. And even through this very challenging year, I'm proud to say we have thrived, and our company, not only financially, but we're going to be providing many, many, many job opportunities to come. And that will also offer internal promotions for our employees all along the way. So I do attest the TMA method to help me have kind of a structure on being able to implement all of that. And I was thinking that, Sam, you might show a couple of slides of the TMA. And you're on mute.
Absolutely. So I'll show that here in just a second. I do want to acknowledge our sponsor, the TMA. We've been talking a lot about them But if anybody's interested in having or going through a demo, you can go ahead and what I'll do actually, I'll set up this poll and you can sign up right through here. So it's going to be in the system here. If you want to take a TMA talent assessment, you can see what it actually brings out as far as telling you about your talents, your work preferences, and so forth. And that's what we've been really trying to drive here in this conversation is the TMA is a great tool to be able to use to evaluate your staff at how much interaction that they will need with you as a manager and their working style and so forth. So if you are working remotely or managing them remotely or you're giving them coaching, that it'll tell you the best approach you'll have that will resonate with them, their learning styles and so forth. So there's a lot of information there to help you navigate this new hybrid workplace that companies are facing right now. Now, also,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I know you're going to talk about this next as far as some of the other applications that TMA has. I mean, there's a lot of mobile applications that are free to use. First, there's the competency library that is out there, competencylibrary.com, that will have all the different competencies that you can use across your organization. These are time tested and used across the globe. Also, there's other aspects that you can use here that is a handheld mobile device. Handheld mobile application that will help go through the entire integrated talent management as far as sourcing people. There's some support there. So if you want to look at that TMA application, and I think if anybody has any trouble finding that, you can just contact me at this support@compteam.net and I'll show you where that's at. But those take a look at those applications and they give you a lot of good remote capability there as a manager.
And may I say this too? I believe that we could have handled this entire remote process maybe without such a tool. But I do think that it was helpful. So for example, when Susan and I were talking about hiring new staff and trying to come up with more consistency in our interviewing questions that were aligned to the actual competencies that we were looking for. So our positions require an assertive personality, a detailed personality, even a sales type of personality, as well as compassion about health advocacy. It's really hard to find that, as I love what Melissa said, the unicorn, because it's really hard to find a fine balance. Most people in the healthcare field are more about the compassion of healing people, and they're not necessarily into quote sales. And more the salespeople are more about hitting that commission, and getting that number that they need in order to get the figure that they want. So meshing the two personality types is very challenging. Having this kind of tool, and there is a career coach app, which I absolutely adore. I mean, we really haven't quite utilized it to the nth of the degree that I really want to, but the fact that my managers have in their hands on site all the tools to develop, mentor, support, even if there's an employee that has said, I'm considering leaving in a month, is there support? We are also very big about helping offboard our employees in a very compassionate way. As long as they've treated us well, we will treat them well. And even the TMA gives us tools and support to help offboard employees from a career mobility standpoint. But having this has been a great help. So we are gone for 6 months. And I think this next year we're leaving again. Yes, again. We're leaving in early November. And I think by then we will fully have matured. So with Melissa's help and getting everybody through the TMA. And then also the manager is going to make a decision if we're going to do this for all employees and new hires. So, and I want that to be a management decision, right, Melissa? And I would guess that our managers are fully supportive as long as they know that we can integrate this in easily. It doesn't need to interrupt a lot of their time, and it's not going to take a lot of extra administrative work for them to do that. So we're very pleased with how that's gone.
Well, I know, Char, we're approaching the top of the hour here, but I do want to let our listeners know, if you are thinking about making your company more agile and resistant to these types of shocks, such as a pandemic. Hopefully, we won't have a future iteration of this, but the important thing is to increase agility and so forth. It's going to make your company much more resistant to these types of shocks. And if you're interested in learning more, I go ahead and reach out to Char. You can sign up through that poll, and she'll be glad to share her experiences with you and on how to make that happen for your company, as she's done for her own.
And also, I don't think we have the website here, but our company website is RockyMountainHealthAdvocates.com. Again, RockyMountainHealthAdvocates.com. If you want to email me, if you're kind of curious to talk to me as a real life former corporate HR executive, and now still an HR executive, but I own my own company. If you want to talk to me personally about how my journey went and how I can help you look at what we can help you to do with your company, or if you're looking to start up a new company, I lived it, and I do have a very unique perspective. I call it the HR from the inside out. And also, one of my big mottos is HR with a heart. And I also do career coaching, but that's more of a hobby. I love doing career coaching. But yes, you can reach out to me, and because I've lived it and I've done it for a while and I've successfully done it, please reach out to me again, char@compteam.net, or you can reach out to Sam and then RockyMountainHealthAdvocates.com.
So I'd like to finally at the end here, I just want to make sure that we let you guys know who our next speaker is next week. We have Danelle Green. So Danelle is a former HR leader for our Barclays, which she managed Barclays in Hong Kong. And she's going to talk to us about how to do succession planning right. So she has a lot of experience here in multiple regions of the world in running these succession planning and talent management for Barclays and Barclay Global Investors, and also BlackRock. So it'll be a great session. Please check in next week, and we'll have that conversation. So Char, I want to thank you and your team for sharing their wisdom on this important topic and how to be more agile and managing remotely. So thank you so much.
So
thank you for having us.
Executives as well. So thank you so much for sharing and being honest and just giving us the real deal.
Thank you for having us.
All right. You all take care. See you next week.
Till next week.
Bye.
Bye.